This is my new tool for working in the woods. It's a Wallenstein log trailer. It's the model LXT115. This one is obviously used. It's about 3 years old. Load capacity is about 10,000 pounds in the woods and a little over 11,000 pounds on the road. It is roadable, it's got lights, it's got brakes. It is fully self-contained, has a power pack, and as you can see, a loading setup. This is just after we brought it home, and we have never used anything like this, although I've run a backhoe and other equipment, never a log loading boom. So we're going to play with it a little bit with a lightweight log just to get used to it and see how it does. The boom is capable about 1,200 pound lift at full extension. This one does come with a winch. It's a hydraulic winch. It has it's a 2-speed with a neutral, and I'll use it here to just pull a small log a little closer so that we can play with it and get used to the controls. I've obviously sped up this part so it doesn't get too boring. I'm running it at just over an idle and working everything really slow, so we can't get into too much trouble with it. It came with an extra set of tires. I don't know if you noticed, but the ones that are on it are pretty close to bald. And it also came with a chain for hooking up logs, a choker chain. The winch is capable of 3,200 pound pull, at least that's what it's listed at. I have come nowhere near maxing it out yet. You can get a number of accessories for that, including augers that would replace the grapple. You can get a bucket to turn it into a backhoe. It has the pin hookup for a piston, and you hook up the hydraulics that would normally go to the grapple, and it will operate the bucket for a backhoe. You can also get a flatbed for it that just take the stakes out of it, and it drops into those holes, and you now have a flatbed. And you can also get a dump box for it that is activated by the arm. The hydraulic control station to operate the boom setup is on a rotation setup. You can lock it in place, but you can rotate it to either side of the trailer tongue. And actually I'm operating it on what they would consider the wrong side. You want to be on the opposite side of whatever you're working with so that the trailer is going to get banged into instead of you. I'm just playing, trying to get used to the controls. It comes fairly quickly, especially if you've worked stuff similar to this in the past. So I've got some other stuff I'll show you that where I actually did some work with it. Here I am up in my woods where I had done a timber stand improvement cut. I have lots and lots of logs similar to this to move. I've got a fellow that buys them wholesale. I also heat with wood. So these are destined to become firewood other than anything that's big enough to become a saw log. So I had pulled these logs to the trail, and they are perpendicular to the trail, so I am pulling them in closer to the trailer so that I can make a cut and then also reach what's left over from the cut, because these are all full-length trees. They can be anywhere from, well, normal, like a 10-foot log or whatever, to 30, 40 feet long. Most of them are in the 20 to 40 foot range. If you see me measuring things, I am measuring to 9 foot 8 inches, which gives me precise firewood length of 16 inches along with the curve of the chainsaw. There are longer ones, anything left over, I do not cut shorter, because then I've got to move the little pieces too. So I'd rather move the whole log and then cut them to length to go through the process or to sell. The trailer will hold a 12-foot log from the rack to the last bunk. And you can easily put a 16-foot on it, let it overhang the 4-foot, and that's not a problem. I did learn a lesson here. Next time when I pull logs to the trail, I'll leave them much closer to the trail and make it easier on myself. I had pulled these before I got the trailer, and I had pulled them with my winch and tractor, which you can see in some of the other videos. The Farmy winch is much faster, much stronger. I can pull a bunch of logs at one time with it, and it is more maneuverable for getting around. The winch on the trailer is good for grabbing logs that aren't too far away, but it's only got about 80 foot of cable. My Farmy winch has over 200 foot of cable and about 3 times the pulling power as the winch on the trailer. I'm staging these logs here. This has access to the road. There's a driveway, 300-400 feet from the road, but you could bring a trailer in and load these out and move them down the road where there's no way I could get to it from the woods. Now I'm going to show the first part of this in real time so you can kind of see what it takes to actually do this. Although I'm still working real slow with the machine. I've only got it maybe a third throttle or something like that, pretty low RPM. Still getting used to the machine and learning how to use it. As I get better, I'll go faster. When you've got hundreds, if not 1,000 pounds of logs dangling on this arm, you don't want to get careless with it. You could easily break something or hurt yourself, that type of thing. So I like to be cautious when I'm first learning a piece of equipment. Here's another task I had in mind when I bought this. Here I'm feeding the rack for my wood processor, and I can either bring a load out of the woods and feed it directly, or in this case I had brought a lot of wood and stacked it with the tractor before I bought this, and just left it in a big pile here, and I'm picking it up and cutting it and moving it to the processor to cut into firewood. This is on a hillside, but I think the camera has the angle make it look like it's a little bit steeper than it is, but it's relatively steep. This firewood will be used for my own household heating. On another rainy day like today, I will process the videos of actually using the processor, show you how it works and how everything goes together with it. Before I had the trailer, I would load this rack up with my tractor and forks. But if the ground is at all wet and you've got any kind of hillside like this, you would end up really tearing up the ground and making a muddy mess out of things. This should make this much easier and cleaner. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section. If you like this video and other ones that I've done, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you.